Yeah, it's not working.
Well, yeah.
All right. Well, just had our walkthrough, and today we'll have our short yardage goal line nickel. We'll get that in, situational football, and thought that our guys will be ready. It'll be good, and just keep our tempo going and mentally get going. And pretty cool that tonight's the start of the season too with Philly and Atlanta. It'd be pretty neat. With that, any questions?
Matt, Roquan wasn't on the injury report yesterday. How did he look at practice?
He's looking good. He's getting better. As we've been saying, he's stacking those good days. So that's a positive. Again, it's just the amount, where we want to, how much we want to do with him and what works, and we're going to listen kind of his body and to him tell us where he's at. And but so far so good.
Is he pretty honest about that kind of stuff? I mean, it's hard to get.
No, he's real honest. He's very honest, and I think it's important that all of our guys are. It's not fair to us if they're not, and then it just makes something worse.
Matt, what's the experience like for you with Vic this week, watching him kind of game time, especially with someone like Aaron Rodgers, who we obviously know pretty well?
Yeah, well, it's neat seeing him kind of go through now his actual game week. He has a ton of respect. Trust me, I've heard it. He's got a ton of respect for Aaron, and there's not many people in this league that don't. So we understand that. He's had the experience of going against them, and so that's a good thing for us. But at the same time, that mutual respect is there, and it's interesting going through, game style, thoughts, processes, how he goes about that, and it's like that for all of us.
Have you talked to Vic about how you expect Mac to be used, or how often he'll be used, or anything like that, or just is that kind of his show?
No, we've talked about that, and we do that with everything, but that's something that we've talked about, and we'll Khalil had a good day yesterday. It was neat seeing him get out there, run around with those pads on for the first time with the helmet. So, but we'll have a set plan.
Because Mac is an experienced player, because his primary responsibility is going to be to rush the quarterback. Yeah. Is it easier to get him ready on a short week?
Yeah, I would say more so than probably some other positions, especially not that it's less stuff going on defense, but if it's similar situation as the offensive guy, trying to learn all the plays and everything that goes on, it's just a little bit different. You can control that a little bit more on how much you want to use them. But I think really for Khalil and for us in general, it's just going to be that knowing where he's at mentally with Vic's system, and then understanding where he's at physically and matching the two together. And we're not going to know, really, until we get into it and we just kind of gauge it.
Matt, Khalil's been very honest about the whirlwind of these last 45 days. As a head coach, how do you sort of keep a pulse on the personal side of things and understanding that he's been going through a lot other than the football stuff?
Well, we hit all the different silos in our organization that deal with him personally off the field. I try to make sure that I stay in contact because think about it. We come into this deal and we've been doing the same thing every day now for months and for years for some of us. When you transition like this and you just pick up and move within 24 hours and you're trying to learn, a defense, you're trying to learn names of people, you're trying to understand how the hell you're going to move around in this city with what kind of car, where are you going to live, where are you going to sleep at night. There's so many variables that go into it. Where you don't know where you're going, Thank goodness for all the Google MapQuest and all that stuff. But he has a lot on his plate, and so we as a team need to make sure that we don't overdo it. And it's so easy to just say, "Let's go all in. He's here. Let's go." That's the easy. We got to be smart.
Matt, with Tariq Cohen and Taylor Gabriel, what sort of mismatches in a perfect world can they create? Can they do them together on the field?
Sure, they can. And for them, they can do different things. I mean, you have 18 who has experience now and at the wide receiver game, and we can do different things with him. You got 29 who, as everyone knows, he can run he can run up in between the tackles. He can do different things outside of the tackles. So for us, it's fun. That part's fun because you get to try to create mismatches and do different things. And the defense will have answers. They understand that. That's no secret. So we just, put some stuff together, and whether it's them or other guys, we feel like we're in a good spot with our personnel.
Is it safe to say that those guys, because we haven't seen much of them in the preseason, there might be a little more than some of the others?
Probably not.
With the new offense, and guys still learning a lot, how can you enable them, empower them to go up tempo and make them successful if you want to push tempo?
Say that. I'm sorry. Say that.
Sorry, with an offense that's still learning.
Yeah.
You know, with Mitch and all these guys that are still trying to get it all. How can you empower them, enable them to go up tempo and be successful?
So, you know, we have the ability to do that. I think most teams in the NFL have that. They'll have a system of doing it. And then you just have to decide if you want to do it and when you want to do it. So we have that. It's part of our deal, but that's just all the flavor of the week, if that's something you choose to do or not. But that all comes, Rich, in the preparation of OTAs and training camp, and then you just have to decide, hey, is this a week we want to do it or not?
Have you named team captains yet?
We have. What we do, Larry, is ours do not stay for the whole season. They're not permanent. So what we'll do is on a weekly basis, we will name 3 guys for particular reasons. And so this week we're going ahead with we have Mitch, Akeem Hicks, and Benny. So, and that'll be for this week. And then, like I said, we'll end up changing those. We'll vote. We'll have different things we do, but it's that's where we're at this week. And we informed them of that yesterday.
How did they do it in Kansas City?
Same way. Yeah.
Is it going to be a player vote, coaches?
Yeah, it'll be a little bit of both. Yeah, so we'll take input, and then we all just kind of collaborate and talk and decide and go about it.
Why do you like that better than the same guys like?
Well, it gives guys opportunities to have ownership, accountability, and be a leader for a week. And then as far as if you then you end up making it to the playoffs if you're fortunate enough to do that, and then we go back to the permanent for the playoffs.
Did you say Benny was the third one?
He was, yeah. So Mitch was offense. We'll go offense, defense, special teams.
And now that they're in game week, what are you seeing as Mark Helfrich's strengths in a week that leads up to a game?
Well, he knows he's incredible in regards to recognizing defenses, and just he sees things really well, and then he communicates it well, which is I'm a big proponent for. I love communication. I love over communicating, and he does that. So we're communicating all the time at all hours, and along with David Groen as well, and just kind of going through things. But Mark's I'm so lucky to have him.
Matt, Packers added a couple rookies at corner, so still some maybe unscouted looks there. But with Mike Penn, what kind of challenges are the corners going to play for Mitch and the offense?
Yeah, so they're both very talented. You see, Josh Jackson had 2 pick sixes this year in the preseason so far, and everyone knew that going into this thing, that he has really good ball skills. And then Alexander is a kid that has a lot of confidence. He can play inside and outside, as can 37. And so they're good players, and regardless of whether they're rookies or not, they have it. We met with Josh, and Josh was here, and you see a kid that has confidence, so he can play, and so we know that, and they got other guys too, but they obviously wanted to put an emphasis on that position going into this draft.
Matt, given his familiarity, is Aaron Lynch somebody that can jump right in even after missing the preseason and play a role on Sunday?
Yeah, he can. Yeah, he'll be able to. Again, very similar to these other guys. He hasn't had that game experience yet, so we got to keep an eye on that and see how he does, and then listen to him, see what he says. But we're anxious to get him out there and get him going a little bit.
Going back to the captains, what was your sense of the leadership when you walked into this place that was already in place, and how has that kind of played out since you've been here?
So we're a young team, but we have those leaders and those guys. I mean, there's more than just the 3 guys that I just mentioned. Just so happen to be the ones for this week, but there's a good little nucleus considering our youth. There's a good nucleus of leaders on this team, and what I'm trying to do right now is we're trying to build more of those leaders naturally. However that is, and I'm learning that myself. I'm getting to see that. I get to listen to the coaches talk to me, who's doing little things that are maybe something that a leader would do that I don't see within the building, and so the ones that I'm starting with are really the ones that I'm saying to everybody. They're the ones that I've really seen it through me being here, type deal.
There's been a lot of talk about, Aaron Rodgers and the contract, but not lost in this, hopefully, is the wide receiver core, and talk about, the challenges of stopping that.
Well, they're talented as well, and they have confidence in them. So their offense in general is just something they produce. They put up numbers. They're Adams is a kid that can do a lot of different things, and so they're good players. You know, with Cobb, he's such a great slot, and he has a lot of experience and trust and timing with his quarterback. So for those guys, our guys understand that. They know that. They know that there's going to be some things that we haven't seen, but they're good. They're good offense.
Matt, with Mark here, to go back to Mark.
Yeah.
To finally have week 1 here, how would you describe what's happened in terms of blending your philosophies since OTAs until now? You know, as RPOs and what you're bringing from Kansas City.
Yeah. So. Pretty similar to what I expected. It's just a matter of us just bouncing things and ideas off of each other, and neither one of us say that we have the answer. I think over time we need to try to fit it into our players' strengths, and I think we've done a good job of that. I guess we'll see, this year how that goes. But neither one of us has been, it's dominant in regards to it's got to be this or it's got to be that. We incorporate our other guys on the staff. And again, Mark is so balanced in everything that he does offensively. He knows the passing game really well. He knows the run game really well. He knows the play action, movement, screens. He's got that. So I like where we're at. I know that we're only going to get stronger together. And so a big part of that is trust in one another, and we have that.
And how much does the other team, as an offensive coach, how much does the other team's offense affect your planning? Use your scheming against the defense. How much does Aaron Rodgers or who you're playing against affect your offensive planning?
It can be out there. That's a great question. I think some teams will play, for instance, run the ball, chew up the clock, get first downs, keep the other quarterback off the field. That's there. That's out there for teams. For us, again, without giving away game plan thought of where we're at, there's times that we'll do that. There's times we won't, and so you take it into account. Maybe there's some weather involved. Not in this game, I'm saying, but whether it's snow or et cetera, or it is a quarterback or a defense that plays a particular way. But that's kind of per team, per coach on their philosophy. And I said it yesterday when we were here. I said, we just play. We worry about offensively. We just do what we do, and we worry about ourselves, and then if we feel like we need to change it up because of something, then we'll adjust and we'll adapt to that.
So you guys gonna have patches or no?
No patches. No patches.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Yep.
Vic, how transformational can one outside linebacker be for your defense in MAC?
Well, obviously he could be a major help to us. Anytime you get a player of his ability, it can do nothing but help make you better, helps make the players around him better. But he's been the same player in Oakland throughout his career, very well decorated, and a lot of honors that he deserved. And Oakland was never better than mid-20s in the defense, so one guy doesn't make a whole unit. It's pretty evident by that.
Sorry, how did you find out about the acquisition, and what was your first?
I found out about it basically the same way you guys did, maybe a few seconds earlier.
What was your immediate reaction to that?
Great.
Vic, you've got two guys that missed all of training camp and all the preseason, and another guy playing with a club. Realistically, how much can you expect from those three guys in the first week?
You know, it's a little bit of an unknown. You know, everybody's a little different. The game's a little different. You know, Aaron Donald was in that same predicament last year, signing right before his first game that he played with a new defense. He played 48 plays. Some other guys have played in the 20s. I think everybody's individual, but it's something we're going to have to manage and keep an eye on.
What have you thought about the media reaction and the fan reaction to Khalil Mack? Because suddenly the perception has changed wholly for this team.
Well, I'm not too aware of the media and the fan reaction. I only pay attention to the Cubs in the media. I don't pay attention to Cubs had a big win last night. Yeah.
Vic, you mentioned the Raiders' defense not being made by one guy, but to add Mack to a defense that already was top 10 last year, do you see the parts in place for Mack to then make those players better who are around him?
Well, definitely. I mean, anytime you add a good player, you know, he makes other players better, okay? Just like good corner play will make him better. Good inside linebacker play will make everybody better. You know, it's a chain reaction, domino effect, and hopefully that's what we'll see.
You can know the player by watching tape of him and stuff, but in the few days, you can know a player by watching tape, but in the few days you spent with him, as a person, as a competitor, as a leader, what do you see, like intangibly?
Yeah, I didn't watch much tape on him, really, until after we signed him. And we've just been around him the first few days, but I see a guy that I think innately likes to play, obviously talented, and I don't see him doing anything but being a great addition for us.
What are you looking for out of Khalil in practice this week to determine how much you can play him on Sunday?
You know, just to see how he's moving around, how well he understands what his job is, which is very important, and just as important, how his body reacts to it the next day or during the practice.
So far?
So far, it's been good.
Do you think Roquan
What are the areas specifically that he's playing catch-up on now that we've hit the regular season?
Just playing. You know, this guy hadn't tackled anybody since Georgia Alabama championship game. So that's basically it. You know, he did have a good spring for us. You know, played a lot of plays, learned the defense, but you know, basically he had a practice and a half out in Denver when he reported, and then was out for a while. And he's been practicing here lately, looking better every day. So at some point, you just have to put him in there. You just can't say, well, he hadn't tackled anybody since last January. You know, he's going to have to do it at some point.
What about his skill set and his makeup give you confidence that he can catch up fairly?
I think he's a good natural football player. I think he understands the game. I think he understands what we're trying to do. He has good reactions, good instincts. And anytime you have that, that helps the process.
What areas have you seen him progress from when he reported to now? Is there anything in particular that has
When he reported to Denver?
Yeah, you know, around that time to now.
A lot, because again, he only went about a practice and a half out there and then was out for a while. And he's last week's practices and when he started practicing a little bit before that was kind of going at 60, 70%. So not a lot.
Is it safe to say that he's going to be on some sort of pitch count just because of his conditioning? Or because of
Yeah, I don't like the word pitch count, though. You know, Steve Carlton and Nolan Ryan had no pitch counts. But, yeah, I mean, we just got to watch them, you know, and it's important that they communicate. You know, they got to communicate how they feel. And I'm confident Roquan would do that.
With Roquan showing up late to camp, the new addition with Mack, do you still sense the benefits of the continuity that we talked so much about the last time we spoke to you?
I do. You know, it's kind of, you know, continuity was good, so now it's kind of plateaued off a little bit when those guys are in there. But I think they'll quickly get acclimated.
What are the challenges for Leonard Floyd playing with the club?
It's difficult. You know, when you have no use of your hand, one of your hands, you know, that football is hard enough to play, and to protect yourself, it creates a problem. these guys have a good bank of knowledge from the past. You know, they're easier to talk to. They remember certain adjustments that we did in certain games that you only bring up here and there, and it's not totally new to them. They just have a better feel and understanding of the way we like to play, and it really helps. You know, it really helps.
Think over the last, since you've been here, Devontae Adams has ascended in Green Bay from a guy who was sort of a supporting role to now their number one. What do you see in his development and who he is that makes him a cover?
Well, he's a tough guy. You know, he plays the position with a good level of toughness. He's aggressive going after the ball, good run after the catch, good size. And over time, you can see where Rodgers has developed confidence in him, much like he had with Jordy Nelson over the years. I think he's developed that same continuity and karma with him that he's had with other receivers, Cobb included.
Vic, how much will Leonard Floyd be affected by playing with the club, and what kind of impact will Mac have on his play? How does Mac influence what his production?
Influence whose production?
Leonard's.
Well, like I said, I mean, anytime you put another good player out there, it helps everybody. You know, it's just like the corner position. You can't have one good corner. You need two. You know, outside rushers, you need two. Okay? So he'll help. And Floyd, like I just said a couple of seconds ago, it will affect his play.
To go up there and Dom Capers not be on that side, he obviously was a big part of your career. What did he mean to you getting to this point in your career and your development as a coach?
Well, we worked together so long. You know, believe it was 16 years that him and I worked together in different teams. And, you know, more than anything, he's just a really good friend of mine. And that we spent a lot of good times together. But we hadn't coached together in a long time. So, you know, from the football part, it kind of morphed out. But, yeah, just a great guy and a great friend.
Who's the Cubs closer in the playoffs?
Joe Madden's got to do his tricks. Best manager in baseball will get him through.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I'll walk out there.
Good afternoon.
Mark, what's your sense of the level of sharpness of this group? They haven't played since the Denver game. Matt has said it's going to take time to get going. How sharp are your guys?
That's a great question. I think, you know, at times extremely sharp, at times extremely dull, and we have to do a great job of getting them started off on the right foot in that atmosphere. Guys will be jacked. You know, they're excited to finally have a game week to prepare for, and that's kind of what we're working through right now. Is just the last few. Hey, let's you know, tweak this. Let's get rid of that. Something that we may have thought was a good idea 2 weeks ago is not as sharp as it needs to be, but we're excited to go out and play.
Mark, what was the preseason like for you being in the NFL the first time, working with Matt on the sidelines for the first time?
Yeah, the games are a lot faster, a lot less plays, and you know, just the elapsed time of the game is a lot different, but it's football. You know, it all comes down to the same stuff. Where I've been recently in college, training camp was very similar to the college fall camp. just with how kind of the school started later. So we had a lot of practice. I love preseason games. They're a little weird when the result isn't the most necessary measure of everything. But we got a ton done. We experimented with a bunch. I think we found out what some guys are we have 100% confidence in, and some of the other things that we may have thrown by the wayside. We've covered a lot of ground.
Mark, what is the value of the speed that Gabriel can bring to your receiving?
Well, yeah, I mean that the mantra, the speed kills mantra, that's a fact. And the first thing on every defensive back's mind when they're in a one-on-one situation or a matchup like that is don't get beat deep. And so if you can just start with that threat as the guy's in his stance, everything else opens up, and then that helps Jordan Howard or whoever else, or another route that is complementary to that guy. But those guys have been working extremely hard, and I think we're at a point where some of the chemistry things have started to develop with Mitchell, and again, excited to go out and see that demonstrated on the field.
Is there value to both of them on the field at the same time?
Sure. I mean, yeah, you like fast guys that compete and want the ball, and they've been very unselfish in terms of whatever. If it's a clearing route for the other, or somebody blocking and somebody with the ball in their hand, I think that's something that we've had a good. Again, as much as you can recreate that stuff, it's been a good give and take. Not only those two guys, but Allen Robinson, or again Jordan, the tight ends, all those guys have been good to this point.
Your evaluation of, what's your evaluation of Trubisky at this point? How comfortable do you think he is with this offense getting ready for week 1?
I mean, I have total confidence in him and the guys around him. And then again, the key is just getting off to the right start. He has been, when he's been dialed in practice, he's been fantastic. I think we kind of definitely have thrown the last 5 years of the Kansas City regime at him. We've thrown that at him, and that's a lot. And Alex Smith went, that happened very gradually for him. It wasn't, whatever the drinking through the fire hose type of analogy. That's kind of what we did. And so now we're at the point where we're trying to pull the parts of the water out of the fire hose that he has the most confidence in, that everybody around him has the most confidence in, and we'll hopefully, be able to execute at a high level.
Matt talked about you and he blending philosophies. How does that blend work on game day?
Yeah, it's not so much game day. It's right now. It's throughout fall camp. It's everybody, Harry Heastand, Dave Ragone, all the other guys that have been a bunch of different places, and trying to again tweak 5 years of scheme to, hey, this is exactly, again, back to how does that fit Mitchell Trubisky, number one, and then all the other guys around him, and that's. Again, that's a lot of fun, but it's also, you can't do 75,000 different things on game, it's however many plays that it really comes down to. But yeah, that's another thing, excited about a real game day situation with all those elements.
Asking about somebody on the other side of the ball, what can Khalil Mack do to disrupt offenses from your offense?
When he gets off the bus, it'll be wow. That guy he disrupts life. That guy is. I mean, we have some really good looking dudes on this football team, and he's a guy that he's different, and his approach, and he's in immediately with Coach Staley and Vic of trying to get dialed in defensively, and I think that it's infectious. That helps. That helps Charles Leno. That helps Bobby. That helps all of the other guys. There's a little spring in their step because they're gonna have to block that guy every day in practice. And so, and again, that impacts the defensive line and the rest of the defense as a whole in a big way.
When it comes to RPOs, what have you learned through preseason or training camp that tells you that these could still really take off at the NFL level? Because you mentioned the speed and the change and all that. But in terms of the RPOs, what gives you the confidence that these things will continue to click?
Relative to just in general?
Yeah, just in general, and because Matt's talking about blending your philosophies and bringing your RPOs and variations of them. I'm just curious.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I think when you look throughout the NFL and you know, the first couple teams that came to mind of what you're talking about are the New England Patriots and the Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. They all do things that are quote unquote RPOs, but you don't see Tom Brady taking off for a 70-yard run. But he might throw a slant or a post, or you know, those things that are built in. And so that's been going for a while, in a lot of ways. And I think Philly definitely, well, probably threw the most last year, and that worked out okay for them.
Mark, what kind of appreciation have you gained for Trey Burton and the role he can play with this offense?
Yeah, Trey's awesome. Trey's a guy that is, again, just a multiplier. You know, he coaches guys, he lines guys up, not only at his position, but others, and just nuances of certain things. Hey, we took this step first, or this angle, or this depth. And again, a total pro, fun guy to be around. You know, great guy to be around.
Defense have Allen Robinson left on you to this point?
I missed the first part.
What impressions have Allen Robinson made on you?
Another guy that all ditto what I just said about Trey. A-Rob has been, he sits right next to me in every meeting, and it's constantly, you can just hear him reinforcing things. He talks things through out loud. It's kind of annoying at first, but it's very, very impressive. Just of how he'll talk through his depth, his adjustments, his alignments, his, you know, just everything, and it shows. He's been extremely healthy, competed his tail off, made every single guy in that room better. And so another guy that I know is chomping at the bit to play.
In what ways have you seen Anthony Miller grow over the last month?
Yeah, he's another guy that has made a ton of wow plays. I know you guys have seen a lot of those. And just, again, it fits kind of in that category of trying to, I don't want to say wean him into a bigger role, but really you want to kind of trying to set things up to be as successful as a debut as possible for him. But very excited about his future. Great competitor, guy that loves to play football, and not just with the ball in his hands. You know, whether it's on special teams or doing some of the dirty work, he's shown he's completely capable of that.
Defense has
Kevin White's been an object of curiosity, obviously, around here for a while. He surprised a couple teammates even this year how good he was when he had the ball in his hands. The image of him as a straight-ahead speedster. Has that been a surprise how good he is with the ball in his hands, or have there been other things that have actually stood out about him as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've said in the past, we didn't really look back at the bad stuff. You know, I think there's a lot of coaches that you see one guy do something one time great or elite, and that's all you visualize. That's how I try to be. I don't sit there and go, you know, these 74 other times this guy stunk. And I'm not saying this relative to Kevin. I'm saying in general. See, I'm gonna get burned on.
You're good.
I know.
You're good.
But we've seen him do a lot of great stuff, and you know, I visualize him in college doing a lot of great stuff, and that's in there, at an elite level, comparable to NFL talent. Now we have to make that happen, you know, and he has to make that happen as often as possible, and as consistently as possible for everyone's benefit.
When you face a corner like Josh Jackson or whoever who has shown a knack for ball skills, what do you emphasize as a coach to the quarterback and even the wide receivers?
Yeah, it's really there's some things that you can do from a schematic standpoint, but so much of that, again, is everybody. And that sounds like a stupid answer, but you know, it takes 11 people to throw a football. And that's the protection, that's the route depth, that's the top of the route, that's the cut, you know, all the things that go into that. And yeah, I mean, the guy, they're secondary. I mean, they've been in the end zone way too much for our liking, watching their tape. But yeah, great ball skills. A lot of people had him as kind of the best ball skills in the draft last year. But he's tremendous. But there's been two other guys that have made those plays as well. And so they do some things schematically that benefit those guys. But it's all about, again, the timing of the quarterback, the route depth, you know, just pushing on top of the routes, staying square, all the keys that kind of are tells in a route for a guy to break. It can't happen against these guys.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Thank you.
Unbelievable. An operations he ran.
We'll send him your regards.
All right, I appreciate it.
What did you think of Cody Parkey's preseason?
I thought he did a nice job. I know he had 3 misses there, but, you know, that's the preseason. And I think probably fans make some misses, which obviously we do too, but in the preseason you see him, the ball striking was really good. 2 of the 3 misses are right on line. He just had to tweak his line. So you say as a coach, is he hitting a good ball? And because you're trying to build up to this game right here of being in a good rhythm, and I think we're there.
What do you see from Pat O'Donnell?
Pat O'Donnell, you know, he's worked hard. He's changed some things since we've gotten here, and he's continued to do that. But he has a strong leg, you know, and when he gets a hold of that thing, I mean, that thing, it goes. But I thought his control was better, and his handle times are getting better. So excited about where he's going, and need to play well this week.
How did Iggy grow as a special teamer from when he came back from the injury to now?
He's grown fast, you know, and obviously I'm disappointed that he missed those early games because obviously that his growth goes even faster. But he's caught up really well. He's played well for us. This will be a next big test for him right here, and he just has to continue that track.
What about him do you see that you
runs well, you know, and blocking an open space, especially kick return. That's a tough skill for those frontline guys, and he did that really well. So we're real pleased with where he's at. You know, it's a real good starting spot.
As far as like a core of special team guys, what do you think you have? Some of them are returning guys, in Ben Braunecker, Benny Cunningham, Sherrick McManus, and Josh Bellamy, and guys like that.
You got some guys with some skins on the wall, so to speak. You got some guys with some playing experience that it's not their.
Overlooked, like in terms of special teams, because in years past they've gone complete youth movement.
I don't know what they've gone in the past, but I'm very appreciative that we have some guys that have some game experience, because obviously this is, you know, we don't get any second chances on special teams. You know, if it goes bad, we don't get to replay the down. So it's nice having guys that have experience. So looking forward to let those guys play and go.
What sense do you have for Tariq as a returner?
He can be explosive. He can change the game. And he's an intelligent football player. The more and more, you know, those were the things that I also thought about when I faced him. But now, you're kind of under the hood on the deal. He's just a really good football player. Gets it, and I think those are the special ones. They have that gift.
And not a big need to see him for yourself through the summer here.
No, I mean he got ton of catches, spring, training camp. He's ready to go.
Do you have to? How much is his usage, maybe as a punt returner, kind of related to the game planning that Matt has for him?
Well, I think it's a lot like, you know, I don't like comparing players, but you can say Tyreek mold. You know, I mean he still returns punts. You know, it's a dynamic play. It's a player that's quick and fast out in open space. It's another opportunity for him.
Chris, what did you sense league-wide about some of these kickoff rules? And I remember you saying you figured everybody would play it a little bit close, but there needed to be some experimentation.
Yeah, you know, as you kind of look throughout the league, obviously, still a lot of holding calls. There were things that we got from the league that a few possible illegal double teams took place and kind of unintended consequences came up on some of those plays. So I think teams are still tweaking their schemes, and this will, you know, not exactly sure what Green Bay will get us. And so it's still a work in progress, but I think it's going well. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.